So, the news that really hit a lot of people hard came on Friday, May 30th. Loretta Swit passed away.
Yeah, at 87. Her publicist, Harlan Bowl, confirmed it. Natural causes, peacefully at her home in New York.
It really makes you stop and think. An Emmy winner, such a huge part of TV history.
Absolutely. And for so many, she is Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan from MAH. Just
Well,
inseparable.
totally. And that's what we want to do today, sort of take a deep dive. We've got material from People, Yahoo, NBC News, Variety, even reader comments.
Right. Go beyond just the headlines, beyond just Hot Lips, to understand, well, the woman herself, Loretta Swit, her life, her impact.
Exactly. So where do we start? Maybe her beginnings.
Yeah, let's look at her origins. The sources say she was born Loretta Jane Swit, November 4th, 1937, in Passaic, New Jersey.
To Polish immigrant parents. And she apparently knew what she wanted quite early on. There's a quote from a 1979 People piece.
Oh, yeah, where she said she always wanted to be an actress.
Right. But what's really interesting is in that same interview, she talks about being a fat little kid with braces who was very, very shy.
It's quite a contrast, isn't it, to the confident, major she became on screen. Shows you the journey.
Definitely a personal transformation there. And she worked for it. Studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Did the whole touring production grind, paying her dues.
Before breaking into Hollywood, her first screen credit was, 1969?
Yeah, and then she did the rounds, like actors did back then. Guest spots on everything. Gunsmoke, Hawaii Five-0, Mission Impossible.
Bonanza, Mannix, The Love Boat, even Batman, the animated series later on.
Building that experience, that versatility, and then came the big one, 1972. M.A.
Major Margaret J. Hot Lips Houlihan. And wow, what a show that turned out to be.
A true phenomenon. The Mobile Army Surgical Hospital during the Korean War, running for 11 seasons, 1972 to 83.
Which is kind of amazing, much longer than the actual war.
Right, and the impact. Just look at the finale. Still the most watched scripted finale ever.
Over 100 million people watching. Incredible.
And critically acclaimed, too. Peabody Award winner. Ranked super high by Rolling Stone. Time Out. James Pony Wozik at the Times noted how that mix of comedy and drama just holds up.
Yeah, it really does. But let's get into her specific contribution because the sources really emphasize this. How she changed Margaret Houlihan.
Oh, absolutely pivotal. You have to remember the movie version, right? Sally Kellerman.
Where the character was, pretty one-dimensional, a stereotype, the butt of jokes, known mostly by that nickname, Hot Lips.
Exactly. And Loretta Swit, she wasn't having that. The sources make it clear she actively pushed to give Margaret depth.
She talked to the writers, wanted to play her like a real person in an intelligent fashion.
Even, and this is her quote, if it meant hurting the jokes. She saw Margaret as constantly evolving, in constant flux.
And you really see that arc play out. The focus on her sexuality gets toned down over time.
And eventually they just call her Margaret. Alan Alda said that was a big moment, a celebrated shift on set.
He praised her so highly, called her supremely talented, and specifically said she worked hard to change the character from that one-joke sexist stereotype into a real person with feelings, ambitions.
You can track it in specific episodes, like Season 4, Mail Call Again. That's where she starts to see Frank Burns more clearly, starts breaking free.
Or Bug Out in Season 5, showing her professionalism, her human side under pressure.
And that speech in The Nurses, also Season 5. Just heartbreaking, about being lonely, wanting a lousy cup of coffee. It showed such vulnerability.
A world away from the early version.
Then there's Comrades in Arms in Season 6 with Hawkeye. Swit apparently felt that episode really shifted the dynamic, ended the rivalry, put them on more equal footing.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much did her work in reshaping Margaret, making her this complex woman, how much did that reflect what was happening in society in the 70s, with women's roles changing?
Or maybe even influence it a bit. On such a huge show.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about what an actor can potentially do to shape a role, maybe even the show's message.
That's a great point. And her commitment to the show was just immense. She and Alda, the only two there for all 11 seasons.
Right. She only missed, 11 episodes in the entire run?
Incredible. Working with that amazing cast, too. Linville, Farr, Burkhoff, Farrell, Morgan, Christopher Steers.
And she almost left, didn't she? That whole Cagney and Lacey thing.
Yeah, she did the pilot movie, got offered the series role, but CBS held her to her MAH contract.
Though she did say later that the quality of the MAS writing kept her there, that they got spoiled.
Can't blame her there. The writing was phenomenal.
So the finale. Margaret decides to go back to the States, work in a hospital. Something about her father.
Right. But interestingly, Swint apparently disagreed with that ending for Margaret.
Oh, what did she think?
She felt a career military nurse like Margaret would have probably gone to Vietnam next. Logically, that was her take, different from the writers.
But she did write Margaret's farewell speech to the nurses herself.
She did. And that speech apparently still inspires women going into nursing, that line.
It's been an honor and privilege to have worked with you, and I'm very, very proud to have known you. Simple, powerful.
Captures that respect she fought for the character to have.
And MAH wasn't the end of her career, obviously. She kept working.
Oh, yeah. Films, TV movies, both during MAH and after. SOB, Race with the Devil, Forest Warrior.
The best Christmas pageant ever. The Execution, Dreams of Gold, A Killer Among Friends. Her last credited role was in 2019, Play the Flute.
And she apparently had another project lined up, Second Chances.
Plus, a really significant stage career.
Absolutely. Broadway debut in '75, same time, next year, The Mystery of Edwin Drood and Shirley Valentine.
She won the Sarah Siddons Award for that, right?
Yep, and performed it over 1,200 times. Also did Mame, toured with the Vagina monologues, a real stage presence.
Got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in '89. Well-deserved.
The sources touch on her personal life, too.
Yeah.
Married Dennis Houlihan. In '83, he'd guest starred on MA.
Right. They divorced in '95, no children.
Which brings us back to that quote from '79 you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, where she said, "I'm not interested in being married. I have a career and friends. My parents and friends are my family. I can't imagine having a happier life."
It's interesting to see that perspective from then compared to her later marriage. Life changes. Priorities shift, maybe.
Or maybe it just shows her independence wasn't tied solely to marital status. But one thing that seems like a constant, lifelong passion.
Her animal rights work. Absolutely. The sources really highlight this.
It wasn't just a casual interest. She was a serious activist. Founded the Sweetheart Animal Alliance.
With a mission to prevent cruelty, end suffering, cooperate with other nonprofits. Very hands-on.
She was a painter, too, watercolors often featuring animals. Put out a book, Sweetheart, in 2017.
With proceeds going to animal charities. She did a coloring book, a perfume, all for the cause.
Hosted that Discovery Wildlife show, those incredible animals. Won awards for her activism.
It really paints a fuller picture, doesn't it? Beyond the actress, there was this dedicated advocate. It adds such an important dimension to her legacy.
Definitely. And thinking about her final days, the reports say she was quite active online.
Yeah, on Instagram. Apparently liked some posts from Alan Alda's podcast just hours before she passed.
And she'd posted recently a tribute for Memorial Day, May 26th.
Using a clip from that MAH episode, sometimes you hear the bullet. Very poignant about young soldiers dying in war.
She also posted birthday wishes for Gary Burkhoff, a tribute to another co-star, Patrick Ediart, back in April. Seems she was very engaged.
Which makes that one headline, I think it was Yahoo Parade, calling her final posts eerie, seem a bit strange.
Right. And apparently readers really pushed back on that. Looking at comments mentioned in other articles, people were saying, no, those posts weren't eerie at all.
Especially the Memorial Day one, given how much she supported veterans. They felt it was just sensationalism.
It's an interesting little side note, that gap between a potentially clickbaity headline and how fans actually saw her genuine engagement.
Totally. And those fan comments really tell a story in themselves.
Yeah, just floods of appreciation. Praise for her acting, for the show, specific memories.
Calling her a super nice lady. Recognizing how she transformed Margaret.
Expressing real sadness, calling her a patriot for her support of vets. It shows the connection people felt.
So when you pull it all together, the early drive, the iconic character-defining work on MAH, the long career after, and this deep, unwavering commitment to animal rights.
It's a picture of a really substantial life, full and impactful in multiple ways.
Yeah. So maybe the thought to leave listeners with is, think about how Loretta Swit did both things so powerfully. She created this unforgettable, complex character on screen for over a decade, shaping how we saw women on TV.
While also using her voice, her platform, or art for something entirely different, but just as important to her fighting for animals.
What does that tell us? About living a life that combines impactful art with meaningful action in the world. It's quite a legacy.